Risk taker, businessman, sports and entertainment promoter, and passionate about making Florida the best place to live, shop, work, and play. It's time for the Joe Mullins Radio Show.
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live, Work, Shop, Play Show, and welcome to an amazing weekend in one of the hottest states in the country, the great state of Florida. You know, today's guest is going to be Senator Rick Scott of the great state of Florida. You know, Senator Scott comes on a lot with our show, and he gives us updates, combating what the media is saying when they turn around and twist stories, make things chaos. You know, the media doesn't want you to know the truth. So we are so honored to be able to have guests like Senator Rick Scott, like Roger Stone, like Governor DeSantis, people like that level, Governor Patrick Morris, West Virginia. So many great people, the Republican chairs in the community, different leaders and different officials to be able to get out here and be able to come on to the show and speak. And if you've got listeners, and I will encourage you, I mean, if you've got guests that you'd like us to have on the show, please at any time reach out to the Joe Mullins Radio Show on Facebook, or Live, Work, Shop, Play on Facebook, or the Joe Mullins Radio Show on the web. And let us know who you want us to bring in. You can also email me at joe@tmc, that's T as in Tom, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, .work, WORK. You can email us anytime. Let us know if guests you would like. You know, listeners, I want to thank Senator Scott for being here and coming on. It is so crucial to speak about these issues and talk about them and have somebody transparent that's up there fighting. No one can tell you more of why they vote the way they vote or why they're doing what they're doing than the actual person. The media is not going to let you know. And to be able to have guests like Senator Rick Scott and the others that come on here is so crucial for our show. It's so crucial for our communities. It's so crucial for our state because it keeps them transparent for one thing, but it also gives them the ability to explain why they're making the tough decisions they're doing. Senator Rick Scott's been an advocate for our state and our community for so many years now. And guys, I remind you, this man is like President Trump. He is just like President Trump. He doesn't have to do it. He's been very successful. He comes from a major American, he comes from the American dream, the American story, raised by a single mother. He's come in, he's made himself work up the ladder in the healthcare industry, turned around. If that wasn't enough, went into politics, became our great governor of the state of Florida, did some major things to the economy, helped it out, and has turned around in the Senate now where he serves latest for us and fought hard for this community. When I was a county official, Senator Scott was one of the first ones on the scene when we were devastated, when Flagler County was devastated by a hurricane. Senator Scott was one of the first on the scene when we were impacted by COVID. Senator Scott has fought hard for beach erosion. He's fought hard for our economy. He's fought hard for our rights, for our kids. He has fought so hard in our community and communities all across Florida. No matter where I go, I see his crew set up, helping people, speaking to people, and also people talking about they could not get anywhere with some of these government agencies until Senator Scott got engaged and involved. When a storm comes in, he's been there. So we are very proud to be able to have him come on the show and be able to have him address our listeners when he does. It's one of the hottest states in the country, the great state of Florida. And you know what? It's not just temperature hot. It's hot in leading the nation with great leaders like the one we have today. Senator Rick Scott of the great state of Florida. Senator Scott, welcome to the show.
You're right. It's hot. The state's hot right now. But also, this is a place where everybody wants to be because in Florida, you have the opportunity to find a great job. Your kids are going to get a great education, and you're also going to be safe. So we've got a great state. We just got to keep working on it.
Now, Senator Scott, we've had so much going on in the country, and I don't even know where to start with it. Usually we have a topic we want to go into, but there's plenty of them. Why don't we do something unique here and give our listeners from Sarasota to Tampa to Jacksonville, Orlando, Daytona, why don't we give them an update? And also down in the south of Florida now, we're about to air in Miami. Why don't we give everyone an update on what's going on in the great state of I want to talk about Alcatraz. We've heard so many different things about it. getting some information? Will this cost the taxpayers money? Is it something that we're safe in the state of Florida to have? Maybe get your input on that. So let's go right ahead and with it, and let's get an update on what's going on in the great state and what you have for us, what you've been fighting for us.
Well, first off, if you think about what we've been doing up here for the last, now Trump's been in office, 5.5 months, almost 6 months, there's been unbelievable change. President Trump is working his butt off to change the direction of this country and fix a lot of the problems Biden and the Democrats caused. So if you stop and look about what we've been doing, we've got a secure border now. We finished the big, beautiful bill. So in that, we have more money for border security. We have money to build up our military to defend our freedoms. We prevented a $4 trillion tax increase the Democrats wanted to do on all Americans. That by itself is about $3,600 per family in Florida. We also fulfilled some of Trump's campaign promises: no tax relief for seniors, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. He's working his tail off to build American jobs through having to make sure other countries don't have unfair protection policies. So he's working hard with regard to the tariffs. That's actually raising money to reduce the deficit we have. He's trying to hold blue state governors accountable for the fraud and abuse of the Medicaid system, the scams that Democrat governors are doing. For what they're doing, they're taking the money to give free health care to illegals. So there's a lot of good things happening. Now, what do we have to get on top of that? What do we have to do? We still got a lot of work to get back to pre-pandemic spending, get our budget under control. If right now we're still close to probably $2 trillion deficit. But we're going to get that done. I'm very optimistic. The president wants to balance the budget. And if we don't, here's what's going to happen. The Democrats want to raise your taxes. What that would be to balance the budget the way they would do it. Instead of reducing spending, your taxes would go up 80%. They would say they want to tax all the rich. Well, that wouldn't be taking 100% of the income of anybody making more than $100,000 a year. So rather than cutting spending, which we've had a 53% increase, they would just take everybody's money. So we're going to keep fighting it. With regard to some things going on in Florida with the detention center down in the Everglades, I don't know much about it, but what I do know is the president is committed to make sure every American is safe, from the criminals that Biden let in, the thugs that Biden let in, the people selling drugs that Biden let in, the terrorists that people let in. So the president's got an agenda to make every neighborhood safe, no sanctuary cities. So I'm optimistic. We just got to keep working.
Now, Senator Scott, we are also in what you're well known for the state of Florida when you were governor and also as senator. You've been very proactive in preparing for hurricanes, bad weather. We're certainly in the hurricane system. Our new station in Sarasota, they were devastated last year. Let's talk a little bit about the hurricane season, what's coming up, and some of the things that you have fought for nationally to help Florida stay ahead of the curve.
Well, we have great county and state emergency management teams, which we're blessed with. Part of living in this beautiful state, we do have the risk of a hurricane. Hopefully, we won't have any landfalls this year, knock on wood. As you know, last year was a tough year for us. The last 3 years have been actually tough on us on the West Coast. But I've talked to Chrissy Nome, and she said FEMA will be prepared to do their part. But we all have to be prepared. I put a lot of effort trying to get Floridians to be ready. You can go to ready.gov and look and get a good checklist there. So you got to be ready, and then have high expectations from the local government, the state government, and your federal government to be a good partner on all those things to keep us all safe. But I'm optimistic always that we won't have a problem. I know that people are getting prepared and hoping for the best, and hopefully we'll get the best.
Now, Senator Scott, when I was commissioner in Flagler, your office was certainly a big key and advocate to get us funding and help to the community. If the listeners have that devastation happening, and God forbid they need FEMA or they need SBA or some of the big organizations, how can they reach out to you guys and get help? And what kind of help do you guys offer? Which I know because you guys were phenomenal in helping our county. But what are some of the things that the listeners and newcomers of Florida can do to help get help from your office?
Well, here's the way to think about a hurricane. Number one, you've got to be responsible and do everything you can to take care of your own health and your family and your friends and protect your property. And then after that, your local government, our sheriff's departments, our first responders are going to work their butt off to help you. Then the state's going to help you. FEMA at the federal level is a check writing organization that is responsible to the governor of each state for the things that the governor thinks they need. So there's programs through the SBA, there's programs through FEMA, but it all works through having a governor's office that's focused on it. So I put a lot of effort when I was governor into making sure we had a very positive relationship with FEMA, with the SBA, with the Corps of Engineers, with the Navy, everybody that had an impact to continue to get that done. And then what I tell them is, I've got 9 offices that represent you in Florida. And if you're having a problem with any federal agency, give us a call. Our team, I got employees all across the state. It's called Constituent Services. They won for the best constituent services team in the entire United States last year. So we've got a great team, but we can't solve any problems you don't tell us about.
Senator, we've got a lot of things in the horizon of the state of Florida and the country. What are some of the biggest topics that you're looking forward to the next few months of working and pushing through with the great president that we have and the great Congress that we have in Senate?
Well, number one is it's always how do you keep people safe? And so I'm on the Armed Services Committee. We're working on the National Defense Authorization Act right now. We'll be meeting a lot this week on it. So that's one. Number two is working on trying to get spending under control. If not, we won't get inflation down and we won't get interest rates under control. So we're putting a lot of effort into figuring out how to get a balanced budget. We're trying to come up with an immigration system that actually works, where nobody comes across the border unvetted, but people that want to live our dream, they have the opportunity to come here in a legal manner, where they don't become dependent on the government. Also working to make sure we hold China accountable. China wants to destroy our way of life, so I ask everybody, don't buy any products, services, apps, anything from communist China, because they're going to take any profit they have out of what they sell you, and it'll be used by the government of China to basically build a military to defeat us. They're the ones that are selling the precursors to the cartel in Mexico that I think last year killed 78,000 Americans. So those are some of the things that we're working on. We're trying to make sure we get drug prices at a price that people can afford it, things like that.
Now, Senator Scott, you mentioned the armed services, and we can't do this show and not talk about the latest conflict we had in Iraq. Give us your output on your view on what happened in Iraq, and if you think that really sent a strong message, or like some of the media is saying, that it did nothing more than just publicly make it look like Trump was doing something, but it wasn't effective over there at all.
He doesn't want war. He'd like the Ukraine war to be over. He doesn't want Israel to be attacked. He doesn't want death and destruction. And so, but what he's going to also do is he knows his responsibility is to protect Americans. And so he, destroyed the nuclear capability of Iran, and he clearly did it. Now, it doesn't mean they can't go out and over the next few years try to start rebuilding it again. But what they do know is with this president, they're not going to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to be able to take away the freedoms of Americans. They're not going to be able to take away the freedoms of Israelis. So you really have to admire the decision the president made to destroy the Iranian ability to create nuclear weapons and destroy our way of life.
How do you feel this administration is doing with the conflict across the seas versus the Biden administration?
Well, if you look at everything the Trump administration has done, it's the opposite of what Biden. Biden was an appeaser. Biden never held anybody accountable. He was weak. He wanted to lead from behind, let other people take advantage of our allies, and his goal was not let that happen. So you really have to admire what this president's done. He's trying his best to try to get peace in the Middle East, trying to get peace in Ukraine. I'm very hopeful that'll happen. If you look at it, unfortunately, we have enemies: Russia, Communist China, North Korea, Iran. In particular, want to destroy our way of life. But then, in close to our borders, the dictatorship in Cuba, the Maduro in Venezuela, Ortega in Nicaragua. There's a lot of people that don't like our way of life. The Mexican president's not been helpful. The last prime minister of Canada was not helpful. But the president's trying to hold people accountable. I put a lot of effort into building relationships all over the world. I met with today. I met with leaders from Europe on how do we create more trade that's fair to America? How do we make sure we have the military that can defend Europe and defend America?
Now, Senator Scott, we have some midterm elections coming up, and everybody talks about how important they are. There's some people that are predicting in media that are predicting the Democrats are going to come back strong. What's your take on midterms, and what does America need to do what are the people of America, the conservatives, the Christians, the strong leaders, the patriots, what do they need to do to make sure that we don't get hijacked during the midterms and go right back to where we were?
Well, you got to get active. You got to vote. You got to get people out to vote. You got to help. You got to run for office. You got to campaign for people. You've got to understand that whoever we elect, they're going to be able to either improve your way of life or destroy your way of life. And so these elections really, really, really matter. So I tell people, be active. If you look at where the Democrats are, they want to intimidate people. They threaten violence, things like that, because they know that people don't like what they're selling. So they have to try to intimidate them where they don't run for office or vote for people or stand up for the right things. And so you've got to be aggressive and stand up for freedom and liberty and run for office. We've got to keep a majority in the House and the Senate and keep the White House.
Senator Scott, I want to thank you for joining us today. I know you're super busy. You've got a lot going on. Once again, let our listeners know how they can reach out to you and your organization and get help if they need it.
Well, you can go to rickscott.senate.gov to send us an email, and we respond. You can give any of our offices, the 9 offices in Florida, office in D.C., a call to get a hold of us. But let us know what your needs are, and we'll work our tail off to be helpful. This is the way the Constitution is set up. I represent everybody in Florida, and so if you need something, don't hesitate to give me a call.
Senator Scott, we want to thank you for joining us today and appreciate you taking the time to update the great people of Florida and give us these updates regularly like you do.
All right. Take care. See you, Joe.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
And guys, thank you, Senator Scott, for coming on the show today. And remember, listeners, this country, the battle we're facing overseas may seem dreary to many people. The battles we're facing in our country with homeland security, border protection, illegal immigrants being in here, the storms, the things that we've spoke about today are so crucial to have strong conservative leaders. We've got midterms coming up. We can decide at that point if we want to stay in the path we want to stay in, the path of freedom, the path of God leading this country, the path of being a strong America, the path of being a country that is respected across the world, the path of being a leader that will not be manipulated, the path of showing the greatest military that can go in and stop a nuclear potential threat without losing one life, without putting a troop on the soil, to be able to come in like that. That is the great America we live in today. We can see the economy coming back. We see the tariffs starting to work. They haven't destroyed the country like many people said they were. We see all this coming back. We see our country starting to become strong again. We see America becoming the greatest place to live, work, shop, and play. And it will stay that way for many years. I encourage everyone to pay attention to this stuff. Many of us don't think we could ever fall as a nation. Many people think it's propaganda. Many people think it's just media trying to scare people or conservatives trying to scare people. But I ask you to look back in history. Where is Rome today? Where is Greece today? Where is Egypt today? Where are these leaders? These are empires that were set up that people thought they would rule the world for an eternity, and they're gone. America's been around 250 years, starting almost 250 years. America's been a strong power of the world. That is a fraction of time when you look back at Egypt, Rome, and Greece's span, and some of the other nations that led the country. If we want this to be the longest reigning superpower in the world, we have to make sure we protect our borders, we protect our country from inside, we make sure we get strong, credible leaders, and we make sure we hold people accountable that are serving in these offices. We do not allow the media to manipulate us. We do not allow the wealth to manipulate us. We are ran by a united country. We stand for one thing. We stand for God. We stand for freedom, and we stand for liberty. That's what makes our communities the greatest place for our families. I want to thank again for our guest today, Senator Rick Scott, fighting hard for our state of Florida, fighting hard for the communities in Florida, and fighting hard to keep America the strongest superpower in the world. Have a great weekend, and try to stay cool. It's blazing hot out there. I know we're in the deepest time, and it's only going to get hotter. Make sure you're hydrating, and please, make sure you thank an officer or a public servant when you see them. They're out there fighting for us all the time. They don't get to choose when they come in. They don't get to choose when to stop. Thank them, because they and these leaders like Senator Rick Scott are why our country is built like it is. Have a great weekend. And remember, if you miss our show, you can always tune in on the web at the Joe Mullins Radio Show or the Joe Mullins Show, or you can go to Facebook, the Joe Mullins Show, Live, Work, Shop, Play. And don't forget, this summer is going to be over before we know it. Kids are going to be going back into school. But we have got to make sure you got tax holidays coming up for the kids. Get out there, shop local. Shop some of our local stores in our communities. Shop some of our local people. Go to their services and utilize their business. We've got school that's going to be coming and starting back. We've got a hurricane season. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Make sure that we stay united and stay strong. And God forbid, if a hurricane hits, make sure you protect and help your neighbors that are new coming to our state that haven't lived through stuff like this. I've been here now for a while. It's easy to get sandbags. It's easier to help the elderly get sandbags. It's easy to check on people. It is not easy. It is not easy to go contact their families and let them know that they're hurt or devastated or they've lost them through a storm like this. We've seen a lot of it over the years, but the way we've seen to combat it is we come together as a community, we come together as a state, and we come together as a country. We've got a lot of things facing us, but united, we'll face them and we'll move on, and there'll be new issues, and we'll face those, and we'll move on, and the trend will show. That's why America is so resilient and stays at the forefront of the world. We don't back down from any challenges. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Live, work, shop, play, Florida.